welcome to Southern Q. My name is Jim Johnson. I'm a KCBS Pitmaster and an international barbecue instructor. I've won 78 grand championships on the barbecue circuit. I may not be a chef, but I'm a master of open fire cooking. I travel all over the world teaching people how to cook barbecue. And now I'm going to teach you at home. I may not be able to make you a world-renowned pitmaster, but I promise you, I will make you better than your neighbor. Today's episode is all about the beef. What are we going to do? We're going to do beef ribs. How are we going to do those? Texas style. Texas style is what you ask? Texas style salt, pepper, and a nice wood smoke flavor. That's all we have to have. Simple, but yet the best ribs you're ever going to have. What did I tell you early? We're going to be better than your neighbor. And when we get through, these will be better than your neighbor. We're also going to do a tri-tip. A tri-tip is the tip of the sirloin. So what we want to do is we want to show you a little bit about that, explain a little bit about that, because that is kind of a misguided cut of meat. And so we want to do that. It's going to be a Santa Maria tri-tip. It's going to be cooked to a medium rare temperature. It's going to be juicy. It's flavorful. And it's going to be cooked over a hardwood smoke. Now we're going to take that and pair that with what? Bacon wrapped asparagus. What's not to like with anything with bacon in it? I love the outdoors. I love everything here. We've got flies today. We've got wind blowing. We got weather coming in. But we're still going to have a good day cooking. And we're also going to do some roasted corn. Corn on the cob is nothing better when it's got a nice char from a good grill. So we're going to pair that all up today. So I want you to get excited. I'm excited. I want you to get your neighbors over because you're going to be better than your neighbor. I can't wait to get started. So let's get the blue smoke rolling. We're back with a certified Angus beef ribs. What is certified Angus beef? That is the top 10% of the beef in the world. So what we did is we got this nice, beautiful beef rib. What we're going to have to do today, though, is we got to trim it up because I promised you we were going to be better than your neighbor. How do we do that? It's all in the prep. We have to be able to prep it properly to have the end result perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little bit of layer of fat off. When we talk about beef, when we talk about fat, we have pork fat. Pork fat's going to render out, drop down in the hot coals, splash back up, and it's going to flavor the meat. What happens with beef, if you have any white on there, that's called tallow, T-A-L-L-O-W. If it's there before we cook the meat, it's going to be there when we get through cooking the meat. So we don't want a lot of fat on there. So what do we want to do? We want to take as much off as we can prior to, so that means we're going to take this off. What are we going to do? We're going to take our knife. We see this layer of silver skin? We want that because that's just tough. You can leave it on there, but when you do, you're going to bite and it's going to be too tough to chew, and it's just going to be real chewy. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife, we're going to start right in the center, and we're going to just barely go through, right below the surface. Take a good sharp knife, and be careful at home, folks, because a sharp knife is dangerous. Then we're going to cut to one end. Look at this. See how this works? We're going to go to one end just like this, cut out, and then when we do, we're going to be able to cut like so, and then we're just going to fold it back, and look what happens. Look how easy this is. Be careful at home trying this for the first time, but you'll get used to it. Take this, we're going to take this right off. Some of this we're going to save because we're going to make beef stock with it later. But today, look at this beautiful piece of meat. We got a little more trimming to do right here. I'm going to bring that off, and then this is going to be ready for seasoning. And today we're going to do this Texas style. Why are we doing it Texas style? Because that's simple. That's very easy, and the flavors match up to the beef really, really well. What is Texas style? Salt and pepper. Stronger on the pepper, a little lighter on the salt because we don't want to dry out all the moisture in the meat. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and very heavily we're going to put this on. We want this coated so it has a really nice bark. This is going to create a bark for us. And then we're going to rub that in, pat that down, and we want this coated really well. You notice I didn't take the membrane off the back. So what happens is the reason I don't is I want those ribs to stay together. I'm going to cook these ribs to 200 degrees internal temperature, and it's going to take 5 to 7 hours for this to cook. So what we're going to do is let's get this on the smoker. I've got my smoker fired up over here. I've got that really nice hardwood smoke in there. So I'm going to put this little baby right here, save some room for my tri-tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to put it on, we're going to cook it for 5 to 7 hours so we can get the internal temperature up to 200 degrees between the bones. Now when you're using your thermometer at home, make sure you don't touch the bone when you're probing the meat. If you touch the bone, it'll give you a false reading. Bones will transfer the heat. I can't wait to come back. I want the blue smoke rolling the entire time, and I will come back and check on these in 2 hours. Today's heat source is going to be lump charcoal. Why are we using lump charcoal? Because it burns hotter and it burns a shorter period of time, so we have to keep adding to it. It's not a problem because we're going to be cooking and we're going to be adding hickory to it today. Why are we using hickory? Because we want a harsh smoke. We want a strong smoke. We have a large piece of meat on there, which is beef, and it's going to be able to soak that smoke up and give us that nice smoky flavor that we want. Today we're doing beef. Why are we doing beef? Because we're doing it Texas style. And to do that, we're going to use this cooker. Why did we choose this cooker? Because it's a huge offset cooker, a lot of grill space, heavy made, holds the heat because we're going to cook for a long period of time. We have an offset firebox. With the offset firebox, we have our fire going, hardwoods, a lot of smoke is floating right through the body of the smoker. We're going to be able to do that. You can see how well built this is. This is 1/4 inch steel. This means that when it gets hot, it will hold heat for hours, and that's what we want. Consistent heat, consistent temperature for hours. We have the smokestack on one end. What that does is that allows the heat to come up, come under the meat, up through the meat, and then out through the exhaust. That gives us a nice even flavor profile, gives us a nice heat. We've chosen this because of the fact that it will hold the heat. We're going to be able to put our beef on there. We've got some on there smoking right now, so we don't want to look at it just yet. We're having a great time with it. Great cooker. Can't wait to get back to it and get started, but you can see we got a nice smoke rolling here, and that's what we want. Let's keep the blue smoke rolling. Today we got our Texas style beef ribs. They're on the smoker, soaking up all the smoke they can. It's going to take a longer time for them to cook. So now we're going to move a little farther west, and we're going to start out with a California tri-tip. Tri-tip is the tip of the sirloin. What happens is they have a whole sirloin. The butchers would cut these up in steaks. And as they got to the tip, what would happen is they couldn't cut these and sell them as steaks. So normally they would grind them up and make hamburger out of them. In Santa Maria, California years ago, there was a butcher. He had a butcher shop. What they would do is they'd take these tips and every day they would grind them up. Well, one day an employee came in, ground all the meat up, and then they found the tri-tips later and said, oh, what do we do with these? So the owner, thinking, said, hey, I've got a grill out front. We've got coals in the bottom. He always thought it was good to have a hot coals going and some meat on there because when people would come to his butcher shop, they would always buy meat from him, and they would buy more. So he said, let's put these on a skewer, take them out, and roast them all day. So he'd put them on the skewers over hot coals, and then they would cook until they were a medium rare temperature. He took them off, sliced them up, and served them, thus the tri-tip. So now, instead of making hamburger out of it, we're going to make dinner. We don't have to do a lot with these. These are going to weigh between 2 and 3 pounds when you buy them at the store. We buy these, we bring them home, they're pretty well trimmed. If you see a little fat, a little silver skin on it, by all means take that off. But we're going to use the same ingredients that we use with our Texas style because California copied Texas and said we're going to do salt and pepper. So all we're going to do is we're going to add salt and pepper to this, and we're going to add quite a bit because we're using beef. Beef takes a lot of flavor. It takes a lot of ingredients to sink in deep to beef. So we want to be able to put this on and add a lot of flavor to it. So we're just going to come back and gently massage that in. It's going to be beautiful. Now what happens is, as you can see, we have this. I'm going to take whatever's left over and we're going to season the bottom of it with. And I'm going to take this to the smoke because what are we going to do? Look what we're going to do. We're going to give our beef ribs a little company. They need some company. You can see they've been on for a while. They're starting to cook. We're going to take this over and start a happy party. We're going to put this on the smoker. We're going to let that rest. We're going to cook this at 250 degrees, and we're going to do this for about 3 hours. And it may not take 3 hours. What we're going to mainly cook it to is about 140, 145 degrees internal temperature. So don't get messed up on your times, but if we can slow smoke it, and the more time we can get, it's great. But you've got to take the tri-tip off at a medium rare temperature, otherwise it's going to be really, really tough on you. So we want this to be, what? Better than your neighbors. So I'm going to sit back, have a glass of lemonade, and I'm going to watch the blue smoke roll. Today we have our beef ribs on the grill. We also have our tri-tip. So now we've got something really, really good going on. My wife says you got to have vegetables. So guess what? We're going to have vegetables today. I love asparagus. And what's better than asparagus? Bacon. So we're going to take bacon, trim them up, take a few pieces of bacon, and just have some fun with this. You can put as much on or as little on as you like. There's no law against how much bacon a person can have. So I want you to just take the bacon, take 4 or 5 cubes, have the stem sticking out, take it, nice piece of bacon. I use thin bacon, and why do I use thin bacon is because I'm going to put this on the smoker, and I want it to cook through and through. So the way I'm going to know is I can take the thin bacon, and it'll cook a little bit faster for me, because I'm in a hurry to eat. I like to eat, and I hope it shows. But I like bacon on anything. So we're going to do this. I've got some made up here, so let's go to the grill with this because we've got a beef rib and some tri-tip here. I want to keep these guys company. How are we going to do that? We're going to add some asparagus to the grill. Bacon wrapped asparagus, folks. What did I say? We're going to be better than the neighbor? Nothing better than bacon. Bacon's going to make your neighbor envious every time he smells this. So we're going to put this on. We're good to go. We're going to close the grill up. We're going to cook this for just a little bit, and what we're going to do is I want to come back. Some people don't like their bacon as crisp as I do, so you cook it until the bacon's at the consistency that you want. Take it off, serve it, and it's going to be the best bacon wrapped asparagus your neighbor's ever seen. We've got our bacon wrapped asparagus on the grill, so we need another vegetable, my wife said. So guess what? I love corn. How are we going to do this? We're going to have char grilled corn on the smoker today. So what do? We go to the store, we pick out some corn. In the store, when nobody's looking, take your thumbnail and squeeze. You should have juice coming out. If you do, take that. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to just take the husk. We like the outdoor cooking, we like the patio, we like cooking outdoors, and we love grills and open fire smoking. I'm going to put this on, and then we just take just a little bit of olive oil. And why do we do that? Then we're going to come back with what we've used during the course of the day, and that's what? Salt and pepper. So we're going to use salt and pepper blend. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my grill because I've got bacon wrapped asparagus and it seems awful lonely. So we're going to take our corn, we're going to put it on the grill. Close that up because we don't want to lose heat. We don't want to lose our heat and our smoke. But what I want to do is we're going to come back in about 30 minutes. It's going to take about 30 minutes for that corn to get a really nice color to it. You saw how pale it was? We're looking for it to be a darker color. But once it turns to a darker color, we know it's done through and through. It's still going to be juicy. Can't wait to get back to it. So we're going to keep this thing company for just a few minutes, and then I'm going to check on it in about a half an hour. It's been about 30 minutes. We're going back to check our corn now. We've got some going. Let's take a look at what we got. Folks, this is absolutely gorgeous. This meal is going to be out of this world. We're going to take our corn. Okay, now what we've got is some beautiful corn here. I'm going to close the lid because what I want all my smoke and my heat to stay in my cooker. So when you're doing this, and I know you're going to be impressing your neighbors a lot, but please make sure you keep the lid down. Because what's our saying? If you're looking, you ain't cooking. I will take my corn and soak it in salt water overnight. Why do I do that? Because I want that nice salty moisture flavor soaking into it all night long. Then what I do is I go down and get the best sweet corn I can, and I can't wait to bite into this. Isn't this gorgeous? It's time to check the bacon wrapped asparagus. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise the lid. Oh, look at this bacon. Isn't this gorgeous? Again, you can cook the bacon to any consistency you like. And guess what? This is the one I like. So look at this. Beautiful asparagus. Asparagus is done. The bacon is absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be the right consistency that I'm looking for. Again, we want to close our lid. If we don't learn anything, we want to keep our lid shut. So what we have here is bacon wrapped asparagus. Take fresh garden variety asparagus. We're going to take that, wrap it. I use thin sliced bacon because why? It cooks a little faster and I like to eat. So the faster I can get to the table, the better I like it. I love it by itself, but this is going to be really well with what we have paired today. So sit back, get your neighbors, best asparagus they've ever had. Come right back. Okay, I've just had a tough day at the track today, but I just thought about this tip, and I need to pass that on to you real quick. What happens is I want you to take a red brick, scrub it up at the sink, wrap it in aluminum foil. Put this on your grill. Put it on the hot part, put it on your grill, and then when you go out to fire it up, fire up the grill, leave the brick on. Get your grill ready. You're ready to put some chicken on. What's the first thing that happens with your chicken? You go out and you put it on the grill. You spend the next 30 minutes fighting the grill, see if it'll give up the chicken. So what some people do, they spray the grill. Some people spray the chicken. I don't do either. What I do is take a pair of tongs, put it on the grill, immediately slide it back and forth for 2 inches for 3 seconds. It'll never stick, I guarantee it. Once you do that, then I want you to take this aluminum wrapped brick, put on top of the chicken because the brick's already hot, transfers heat. So I'm going to cook from the top down, the bottom up. It's going to sear the juices in. It's going to cook in half the time, and it's going to be juicy and moist when you get through. It's been an hour and a half. Tri-tip on. That's about a 2.5 pound tri-tip. I'm ready to see what it looks like. We've had this thing bathing in hickory smoke. Wow, look at that, folks. We got the smoke rolling. I hope your neighbors are home today because this is going to impress them even. What I've got is a 2.5 pound tri-tip. We've taken it, we put it over, we seasoned it with what? Salt and pepper, and then we put it on our smoker with heavy hickory smoke. Normally, I would let this rest for about 10 minutes. But you know what? I'm hungry, and I know you're getting hungry. So let's do this. You'll see the grain on this. Let's cut across the grain. So we're going to cut right across the grain, and we're going to see how this bad boy looks. You're going to be the first to know. Oh, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful colors, lots of moisture, absolutely gorgeous. Okay, folks, we have a Texas-style beef rib. We're ready to go to the grill. We think it's done. Let's take a look. You be the judge. The smoke part's done. Now, take a look at the rib. Look at this beauty. I want to show you something. You don't see this very often, and I want you to take note at home. Look how the meat's pulled back off the bone. When you saw us prep that, the meat was all the way out. What did that do? That means it's rendered out the fat, it's cooked down, it's pulled back very nicely off the bone. Absolutely beautiful. How do we know if it's done? If you have a meat thermometer, you can stick between the two bones, check it to 200 degrees, or you can push on it and it should feel like a marshmallow. If it feels like a marshmallow, we're good to go. Are you guys ready for the moment of truth? Let's see what this looks like in between. We're going to slice this down between the bone. Now, is this not going to make a meal for somebody? Look at this, folks. Take a look at this. Done through and through. You're going to love this. Now, you'll notice that what we did is we left the membrane on. Why did we leave the membrane on? Because we wanted to hold it together. When you cook it at 200 degrees, it'll start falling apart. The membrane will hold for us. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to pair this with all the other stuff that we have prepared on the grill. Come right back. We're going to have this plated up, and you're going to enjoy the best ribs your neighbor's ever seen. A little recap about today's meal. First thing is, we wanted to impress your neighbors. I think we did that. How did we do that? We started out with beef ribs. What did we do with those beef ribs? We added salt and pepper and cooked them Texas style. Then what we did is we cooked that over a low, slow hickory fire. We took a trip out west, went to California and did the Santa Maria tri-tip. £1.5 sirloin tip. What we did is season that with salt and pepper, put it on, cooked it to a nice medium internal temperature, and we topped that off with some bacon wrapped asparagus. And nothing's better than asparagus with bacon wrapped around it. Then we take some corn, fresh sweet corn, a little olive oil, salt and pepper, put that thing on the grill, cooked it for about 30 minutes, get a nice char to it, put that out, beautiful. This is an absolute beautiful meal. We finished it off with a nice glass of lemonade. This is going to impress your neighbor. I want to tell you this though, until next time, keep the blue smoke rolling. All right, folks, had the meat marinating all night. Get.